Life is just a combination of time and energy, isn't it? Limited amount of time, limited amount of energy. If you run into walls here and there, time and energy will go and your life will go. It's very important you run through the door, not through the wall. Yes, where there is openness, there you go. Good evening. Hey, I said good evening. Good evening. Okay. Please.
So I think we have about 30 minutes to take audience questions. If anybody has, just shoot right there.
Namaskar, Sadhguru. My name is Radha Kulkarni, and I'm a Columbia alum and studied policy here, not business. And I work at the United Nations now. But before I get to my question, your talks are both inspiring and grounding at the same time, and that's a difficult balance. So thank you so much for coming to Columbia and speaking with us. Much appreciated. So my question to you, Sadhguru, is that there's so much suffering in the world. Like when I travel on work or otherwise, one observes that on the one hand, there is even lack of basic peace, or there's so much violence, and on the other hand, there is even lack of basic resources and abject poverty. So I would be curious to hear your perspective on why does every single person have such different starting points in life, which would mean like a child based in Africa doesn't even have water and is perhaps will die of malnutrition, has a very different starting point than, say, a billionaire's child who is perhaps sitting somewhere in the middle of North America. So why this disparity? And then how and where it sits in the larger scheme of things, or in the cycle of the cosmos or life, if there is, if that's how we call it. And also then that gets me to the question of then who are we?
That's a very Indian question. You must know, I must tell you this because you're also working at the UN. We were trekking in Tibet about 3 years ago. Every year we trek there. 3 years ago when I was going, there was people from over 40 countries trekking with me. So, one Indian person who lives in United States stood up to ask a question, and the question went on for over 8 minutes. You've been very brief. So the question was going on, and all this international audience, their heads were spinning because they're not grasping the question. Then I said, please relax, this is an Indian question. Because we have practiced asking questions for over 10,000–12,000 years. This is a nation where even when so-called divine entities came, they could not give us any commandments because all we had was questions. Relentless questioning. Then one Chinese lady who was working in United Nations for more than 30 years, she said, Sadhguru, even in those 30 years when I worked in United Nations, only Indians asked questions. Anyway, so why there is disparity? I thought you know the answer. There is disparity because those who have don't care about those who don't have. It's very simple. Those who have want to take more and more. Those who don't have, just don't have. There are various aspects. It found expression in many different ways, started with imperialism, and even now we're always seeing, every nation is seeing how we can take the maximum resource from everywhere else, isn't it? So, we know the source of the problem. What is the solution? The question. So, solution-wise, see, in 2016, they are telling me, some studies say, that in 2016 we produced enough food for 18.6 billion people. But we were only 7.1 billion people on that day. But still, 35% of the planet is malnourished. You were talking, you know the statistics better than me, you're in the United Nations. When we are producing 3 times more food than we actually need for the population, still 1/3 of the population is starving. Millions of children die of malnourishment all over. Not just in Africa, even in India. India has the highest malnourished population right now. You know, it's an evolutionary process. You know Charles Darwin? He told you that you were all monkeys, not me, okay? He told you were all monkeys and you became human. And today, the genetic scientists are saying that the difference between you and a chimpanzee in terms of DNA is only 1.23%. 1.23% is not much of a difference, isn't it? Huh? Hello? Not much of a difference, isn't it? So physiologically, that's how close we are to a chimpanzee. But in terms of our intelligence and awareness, we are worlds apart from a chimpanzee. Right now, largely, the first question started with that, largely our identities are still biological. If you say my race, it's biology. If you say my family, it's biology, isn't it? Largely, human identities are still biological. When you're biological, you're set within a small boundary. And when you're biological, your instinct of self-preservation is at its highest. In your intelligence or in your brain structure, there is something called as a reptilian brain, which is approximately the size of your fist here. So that is still working like a reptile, fixing boundaries all the time and trying to protect that boundary, which finds expression in so many different ways. But there's another dimension of intelligence, which is the cerebral cortex, which makes you a human being today, which thinks and struggles with these issues. If you were a tiger, you wouldn't care that, you know, a goat's child is hungry, you wouldn't care because after all, it's your food, all right? But once you become a human being, you actually don't care, but still one part of you which makes you human makes you struggle. You need to empower that. As a humanity, we need to empower that your instinct of self-preservation must go down and the longing to expand, which is always there within us. See, today it is finding expression as ambition, conquest, or maybe simply shopping. What is this all about? You want to be something more than what you are right now, isn't it? Yes? Now the question is, if you become something more today, tomorrow are you fully settled? No, you want to be something more and something more and something more. So you seem to be going towards some kind of goal in installments. I'm asking you right now, how much more will settle you for good? What do you think? How much more? Suppose I make you the queen of this planet. Will you be fulfilled, I'm asking? I'm asking you. Don't look at me hopefully, I will not commit such a blunder. I will not commit such a blunder, but I'm asking you, suppose we put a throne on the North Pole and made you sit there, the queen of the planet, would you be fulfilled? No. You will look at the stars, you will look at the galaxies. This is the nature of the human being, because there is something in this human being that doesn't like boundaries, wants to expand limitlessly. But right now the consciousness is constipated. You know what's constipation? That means things happen little by little. You want to expand, You want to expand, but you want to do it in small measure, as if you're going to live here for 1,000,000 years. So you have to move, every human being, all these business students, you must move from your personal ambition to a larger vision. Ambition means constipated expression of growth. Vision means seamless expression of growth. This must happen to you. How much should you grow? You should not determine this. You must gas yourself fully, make yourself competent, enhance your competence, let's see how far it goes. Yes? Let us see how far it goes. Why should you fix the limit? Because whatever limits and whatever goals you set are just an exaggeration of what little you know today, isn't it so? Huh? Yes or no? Today what little you know, you are exaggerating it and thinking this is ambition. No, this is constipation. I know being in the university, now you passed out, being in the United Nations, you have much knowledge about many things. But all your knowledge, even if you have studied the libraries on this planet, all your knowledge is a minuscule compared to what this cosmic space is, isn't it? If you identify with this minuscule knowledge that you have, you will become a minuscule. Because you're such a minuscule, endlessly you will feel insecure about anything and everything that's happening to you. See, he lives in Brooklyn, still nobody stabbed him. What are you insecure about? In yoga, we have another system. We call this the intelligence of ignorance. We always identify with our ignorance because our knowledge is so small. Our ignorance is boundless. Yes or no? Huh? What we do not know is boundless, isn't it? What we know is so little. So you identify with what you do not know, then your life will expand rapidly. Your intelligence will stay alert through your life. If you identify with knowledge, your intelligence will sleep and you'll make a fool of yourself with a big degree. Yes, it's very important. If your human intelligence is on, it is very natural to be inclusive. If your reptilian brain is on, it is very natural to be exclusive, to put up walls. So as a human society, as nations, we have put up walls and walls and walls for everything, isn't it? The very damn marketplace is a big wall, it's a Wall Street, all right. The markets are controlled so that everybody does not thrive. Yes or no? Markets are controlled, industry is controlled so that everybody does not thrive. Anyway, you didn't ask me what happened to this food that we grow for 18.6 billion people. You must find out, you're in the UN. You must find out, all of you must find out why we produce food 3 times than what we need and still 1/3 of the humanity is starving. Why? Shouldn't your humanity want to find out? Please, you must find out.
Thank you so much for having this event. My name is Prem. I'm a sophomore studying history. And my question is about this idea of a cosmic or global identity. I think it's no secret that many of us here, no matter where we came from before this, we now have a certain level of privilege for being at a place like Columbia. And I think I'm confused as to whether this notion of a global or cosmic identity almost is predicated on a sense of privilege, and that certain people in this world don't necessarily have the privilege of being able to look beyond their most immediate surroundings, whether it's because of discrimination, racism, sexism, and so on. So how can we as people that maybe do have more privilege leverage that to make that global identity mean something more than just us talking about it here?
This happened in Columbia University. 2 young ladies met. One of them said, "I will not marry till I turn 30. Another said, "Well, I'm married, but I will never turn 30. We must understand the investment in problems that people have made. When my business is… your problems are my business, I don't want your problems to go away. Hello? Yesterday something came up, these two were there. This came up because yesterday morning I read something terrible happening somewhere in some part of the world. People keep sending me, though I am not in the UN, all the terrible things that happen. Before it comes to the news media, it comes to me in so many different ways. So, I was at the Economic Forum at Davos and there's a big thing going on about Sudan. American celebrities posing with this starved-out child, photographs and everywhere, and compassion and stuff. I appreciate the intention, I'm not against it. Everybody has to do it in their own way, I'm not against that. But in the same video, they were showing all these militants taking automatic weapons and death everywhere, massive, large-scale rape and simply, if you're a man, you'll die, if you're a woman, you get raped, all right? It's almost like that. That's southern Sudan was like that some time ago, now it's coming to some kind of sense. So these guys are just shooting, dozens of them, simply shooting in the sky. So I said, see, these guys are not shooting at somebody, they're shooting in the sky. That means they have limitless supply of armaments, all right? You can't take away the guns from them, but the bullets, they seem to have. The gun that they're using, I know what they're using, I know what caliber it is. There are just 8 companies which are making these bullets, armaments. 6 of them are in United States. All you have to do is, I'll give you the address. You just lock down this. In about 6 months' time, when they run out of bullets, at least they have to hack people. The number of people killed will go down at least. Once they don't have bullets, other people will know how to deal with them. Yes or no? I'm saying, when my trouble is your business, will you give it up? So, as young people who are going into the business world, don't think you have to go there as a victim of what is existing right now. I'm not trying to blame everybody. This is how we've shaped it. All of us are responsible for this. Till now, this is how we've done business. It is time to change it. And last 20 years, everybody… there are lots of commentary in social media, why is he always with corporate leaders? Oh, he's become corrupt, he's moving with this person, that person. Because I see today, if you want to change the world, not just business world, if you want to change the world, how we do business has to change. It is not the success of military, it is not the success of politics which makes a nation, it is the success of business which makes a nation. So how are we conducting our business is important. If you don't transform the business leaders, how the hell are you going to change anything? When I was at the Economic Forum, somebody important there asked me, Sadhguru, if we have to do one thing for you to transform this world, what is it? I said, just give me 25 people for 5 days. I will change the world in the next 2 to 3 years. They asked, who are these 25 people? I named the top 25 leaders of the top 25 nations in the world. I said, see, normally with ordinary people, 2.5 days is enough to transform them. But these are politicians, so 5 days, I'm just taking insurance. 5 days you give them to me, if the way they think and feel about everything around them, even if there's a 10% change in the way that they are looking at the world, if they become 10% little more inclusive, the world will change dramatically, believe me. The food that we made for 18.6 billion people, one thing is we don't have to exploit the planet so badly to feed 7 billion people. And on that, 1/3 of them are hungry. This can be solved if these 25 people make up their mind. Yes or no? Hello? So it is very important. Today you're sitting here in the university as a student, but tomorrow you are part of a larger company. Well, when you join up, you may not be able to decide how to run this company. But don't become a victim and give up. This is all the choice you have. In India, always when it's say yoga, we always use lotus flower as a symbolism. Why lotus flower is, this is true with every flower, but particularly with lotus is, the more stinky the slush is, the more fragrant and beautiful the lotus flower becomes. So we always use this, that this is the way a yogi should be. When you see filth, you can become allergic to it and become an ascetic if you wish. Or when you see filth, you say, everywhere filth, let me also become filth. Lot of people become this. Or another way is, you transform the filth into your flower. This choice you have, wherever you are, whatever role you play, you have this choice. You are always a part of the solution, not a part of the problem. This one thing you do, depending upon your competence, let's see how far you go.
So, Sadhguru, thank you for being here. What advice would you give someone with healing gifts, someone who can help people create miracles in their lives to grow in service to the world?
See, miracle means like this. Everybody walks on the floor, you walk on the ceiling. Everybody swims in the water, but you walk upon the water. Please don't do these things. If you walk upon the water, where the hell will you swim? It's important. It's important that you don't do unreasonable things. Because if you do not recognize the miracle of your existence, right now see, we're sitting here. Maybe you're thinking we're sitting in Columbia University, but we are sitting here in this universe. We don't know where the goddamn thing begins and where it ends. We do not know its nature, and the damn planet is round and it's spinning, and we are sitting here and talking all this. Isn't it a miracle, I'm asking? Hello? Isn't it a miracle? So just pay attention, just tell me one thing that's not a miracle out here. What was yesterday's soil that you walk upon, today is a flower? What was yesterday's soil that you walk upon, today is the food on your plate? Yes? He agrees with me.
Food, we're good.
So, isn't this all a miracle? Hello? So there is no need for you to do something unreasonable. Miracles are just happening everywhere. Aren't they happening? Everywhere. You are a miracle, isn't it? Just somebody gave you 2 cells, see how you become. Isn't this a miracle? So, those who have no eyes for life, they're too engrossed within themselves, they think they will perform miracles. No. What is magical for one person? Suppose I pulled out something from my pocket, let's say 500 years ago, and started speaking to somebody in India. If I said, I am the messenger or the sun or himself, would you believe or no? Hello? What is one person's magic is another person's engineering. So this is why we are talking about inner engineering, where you can live magically, which is very important. This is magic, isn't it? Hello? Isn't this life magical? Everything about this? But unfortunately, most human beings are not experiencing it. Unfortunately, most human beings are muddled with their own logic and stuck in it so badly, they do not feel and enjoy the magic of their existence. If your perception is not muddled by your memory, this is very important because Our entire education system from kindergarten to wherever you go, we are being made to believe memory is intelligence. Memory is not intelligence. All those who believe memory is intelligence are going to feel like idiots in the next 5 to 10 years when the artificial intelligence, when your little gadget starts doing better than you. Believe me, my phone can do 10 PhDs in a day. Yes. Aren't you finding this Google lady a miracle? She seems to know every damn thing, I'm just trying to think of something that she doesn't know. Everything that is about information gathering, remembering, keeping it in your memory, analyzing and throwing it out, a machine will do better than you. In the next few years, you just have to wait to feel like a fool. So, the significance of being human is just this, that we have a system which just go by anything. Let's say your eyes. The visual apparatus started developing. Even now there are certain fish in the oceans where their skin became photosensitive. That means they could sense what is light, what is darkness. That is their level of seeing. From there, our eyes have developed to this point on this planet. Our eyes, our neurological system, our brains are the highest level of development that's happened. So our experience of life is capable of being magical. For all those of you who are trying to magic by snorting or smoking or something, let me tell you, a little magic happens there also. I'm not somebody to look at this as a moral issue. It is just that it's destroying the possibilities, that's our only concern. Isn't this the most sophisticated chemical factory on this planet? Human mechanism? Hello? Now the question is only, because you're all business guys, the question is only, are you a great CEO or a lousy CEO? That's all. If you're a great CEO, you will get what you want out of this. If you're a lousy CEO, you get tension, anxiety, misery. I get ecstasy. Thank you.
Hi Sadhguru, thank you for being here. My name is Matan, I'm a first-year MBA student. My question is actually also about identity. You've spoken about the need or kind of the benefit of detaching from a biological identity. And I'm curious, I think there's a lot of people in the room and this question kind of came up again and again. If somebody wants to kind of to act positively in society, there's an instinct to start from that biological community, from the people that you identify with biologically. And since you've spoken about that need to detach from that identity, where do you suggest, like, what's the alternative to starting from that biological community? And maybe I've understood you the wrong way, because I see you shaking your head.
See, I did not ever say you should detach yourself from biological identity. Instead of seeing your mother, father, brothers, sisters and whatever, the larger family, as your biological identity, why don't you see that they are the first people that you have access to? You can work most effectively only where you have access and acceptance, isn't it? People are always telling me, Sadhguru, you must come and work in Africa. I said, no, I will not work in Africa. Because if I want to go into Africa, I would like somebody to give me at least $5 billion before I enter Africa, because without that hand-holding, you can't make a difference there. You cannot. You will go there and waste your life, nothing will happen. I work in India, because in India, if you give me $10, I will make it into $1,000 in effect, because I have access and acceptance with the people. This is not because of my nationality I work in India, simply because the access and acceptance is so good that if you give me $10, I will make it into $1,000. But if I go to Africa, if you give me $100, it'll become $1. because there is no access and acceptance out there. And the problem there is of a different nature. It's a completely different nature. So where you choose to work is not a question of your nationality or your ethnicity or your family. Where you have access and acceptance, that's where you must start, otherwise you'll just waste your time and energy. Because life is just a combination of time and energy, isn't it? Limited amount of time, limited amount of energy. If you run into walls here and there, time and energy will go and your life will go. It's very important you run through the door, not through the wall. Yes? Where there is openness, there you go. Then you want to turn around and come there, that's a different matter. But you must always start work where there is acceptance and access. Without access, what will you do? You'll just beat your head on the wall. And if you have a great idea, if you cannot even sell it to your family, you're not going to sell it to anybody.
The last thing we're going to close with for Youth and Truth is, what worries you the most about the youth of tomorrow?
What?
What worries you the most?
Oh, I'm not the worrying kind. Because this nonsense that every generation is worried about the next generation, I'm not that kind. The previous generation was worried about me. And they didn't know a thing about me, they just worried about me. I'm not worrying about you. I'm not, because I know with all your madness, you'll figure out things as things go by. It's being worried about the next generation always is a ancient malady. You must see what Socrates said about the next generation. He said they have no respect, they don't stand up when elders come, they're not thinking straight, they're going to ruins. Well, 2000, 3000 years ago, the guy is talking the same thing. Time to change that. I'm not worried about you because I see for the first time in the history of humanity, this generation is empowered in ways that nobody had imagined possible, yes? Our survival is better organized than ever before. And if we want to change the world, no better time, because I want you to recognize this, because many great beings have come right from ancient times. In their own… every generation had their greats. But even if they raised their voice and spoke, hardly 25 people heard. Today, if you have something sensible to say, you can say it to the whole damn world. Do not underestimate that. So one thing you should do as business people and young people is clean up that space a little bit. All kinds of idiots are saying things loudly, sane things are not really getting across, yes? Because still social media, I feel, will mature, probably in the next 5–10 years, people will know how to filter it. But there is a concern because the way we are using these technologies against ourselves and against everybody else. When I say against, there are many things. They're telling me 70% of the data is pornography, and they're telling me on the internet, over 1.2 million children below 15 years of age are being sold for all kinds of filthy things. I think as a society, as human beings, when we start selling our children, that means we've hit the bottom. What do you think? Hello? We really hit the bottom, isn't it? So, these are things that young people can change. I'm just saying, how many in this campus? 5,000. 5,000 people. If 5,000 people meet and you're determined, you want to change the language and the direction of what's happening on the internet, believe me, you can do it. 5,000 people, if you get active, just do it. Let's make it happen.